بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum. Today it is Tuesday, the 20, I've forgotten the date now, 29th of June 2021. And in our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 228. In our sub-series in which we are looking at Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 87. This is the 13th broadcast in that series. Just to remind you that the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, also known as Ahmadiyya Anjuman of Lahore or Ahmadiyya Anjuman Ishayat-e Islam Lahore, was founded by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian. And he taught us that whereas others believe that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, a prophet can come, that the Holy Quran has addressed the Holy Prophet Muhammad as Khatamun Nabiyyin. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad explained it by saying, La Nabi Abadi, no prophet after me. So no prophet will now come, not an old prophet, not a new prophet. And this worried the companions, radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And they said, "O Prophet of Allah, Israelites would get a prophet, and then after that prophet dies, they would soon go astray. So what will happen to this ummah?" And the Holy Prophet said, well, what will happen is that God will raise in this ummah reformers, mujaddids, who will reform Muslims. Remember this. They will not reform Islam. Islam does not need any reform. It's Muslims and our understanding of Islam that needs reform. And Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed to be one such mujaddid. The only difference is that he added that the prophecy of the prophecies of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, that a Messiah and Mahdi will come, have been fulfilled in his person as the Mujaddid. And this was what was put on his tombstone by Hazrat Maulana Nuruddin, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Rais-e Qadian, Mujaddid Sajjad, Masih Maud, Mahdi Mahud. And that tombstone remained there for many, many years. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also pointed out that there are differences amongst Muslims on many things. But the Holy Prophet Muhammad has categorically said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are a kafir, you are a heretic, then it is the person saying it who is actually the heretic, who is the kafir. So strict was the Holy Prophet Muhammad that one reciter of the kalima should not say to another that you are not a Muslim. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib also taught us that people say that a part of the prophetic revelation received by the Holy Prophet Muhammad is missing from the Quran. Some say Surah Rajam, some say Ayah Walid, but he said nothing is missing from the Quran. All the Wahi, all the prophetic revelation that Hazrat Jibreel brought is with us in the Holy Quran. And then there are people who say that some verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated, which is a convenient technique, because if you can't understand how to reconcile two verses, what's the easiest thing to do is to say, well, one is cancelled, one is abrogated. And that means that you don't have to use your brain, because you might get a headache if you use your brain. And that avoids that. Unfortunately, it gives our opponents a great stick, even a sword, to attack Islam with, to say, well, what kind of religion is it that it's being revealed, but at the same time its verses are being abrogated. So Hazrat Sahib and Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali showed that no verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. And Hazrat Sahib stressed that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. But jihad as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and not by every Tom, Dick and Harry. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad, while returning from fighting, said to his companions that from the minor jihad, we are now coming back to the major jihad, and then explain that the major jihad is to fight your own negative desires and sentiments. So reflect on all these things and see how you can control your desires. With that, let us get to the verse of the Holy Quran. As I said, Al-Baqarah, verse 87. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ وَكَفَّيْنَا مِنْ بَعْدِهِ بِالرُّسُلِ وَآتَيْنَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ الْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَيَّدْنَاهُ بِرُوحِ الْقُدُسِ أَفَكُلَّمَا جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ بِمَا لَا تَهْوَى أَنفُسُكُمُ اسْتَكْبَرْتُمْ فَفَرِيقًا كَذَّبْتُمْ وَفَرِيقًا تَقْتُلُونَ. And certainly we gave Moses the book, and we sent messengers after him, one after another. And we gave Jesus, son of Mary, clear arguments, and we strengthened him with the Holy Spirit. Is it then that whenever there comes to you a messenger with what your souls desired not, you were arrogant? And some of you gave the lie to, and others would slay them. So we last time, I think it was Thursday, we looked at the word kazabtum. Next word is wa, which is a connecting word. Is the term I use, that it connects two parts of a sentence. And fariqan, we had a look at that a few days ago, sometime last week, I think it was. And then taqtulu, which is the last word in this verse. So it is taqtulun that we will have a look at after I've had a sip. My throat is getting dry. Okay. So let's turn to the word under consideration. Where are we? Okay. This word occurs in the Holy Quran. Oh, sorry, its root is Qaf, Pa, Lam. And we find it in the Holy Quran 170 times in 8 different forms. So it gives sort of 8 different meanings. So let's have a look at them. 83 times it occurs as what's called a form 1 verb, qatala. And 54 times, again, as a what they call a form 3 verb, qatala. And then, where are we? 13 times as qital, which is a noun, and 10 times as qatl, again a noun, and then 4 times as uttilu, and then 4 times as qatala. And what does that leave? Once as qatla, and once as taqtil. So mostly it's to kill. So something involving killing is in the essence of the meaning. What is qataltum? So this is chapter 2, verse 72. You killed. Qul falima taqtuluna anbiya Allah. Which is chapter 2, verse 91, and we'll come to that, which means you killed Allah's prophets. Waqtuluhum is in chapter 2, verse 91, chapter 2, verse 191, and kill them. So you can see that it's in the sense of killing, which could be literal or it could be metaphorical. And then we have the other meaning, an yuqattalu. Qala sanuqattalu. First one was chapter 5, verse 33. Second one was chapter 7, verse 127. Again, to kill. But qital is also used for fighting. وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ, etc. And they fight for the sake of Allah, in the way of Allah. Chapter 2, verse 190. And this is repeated in verse 191. And we have fa in qatalukum faqtuluhum, which is chapter 2, verse 191. They fight you. And again, to fight, another form is maktala. Yaktatilani minal mu'minak tatalu. And then we have the noun, which is fighting. Koteba alaykumul kitab, which is chapter 2, verse 260. So this is fighting. And there are a number of other places. And then you have the noun, the killing. Chapter 2, verse 91, verse 191. Minal Katli. In chapter 2, verse 217. Again, Minal Katli, the killing. In both cases. In chapter 3, verse 154, Alayhimul Katli, the death. And then we also have Takdilan from chapter 33, verse 61. Complete massacre. So, now, if we simply translate this, as people usually do, and you killed some of the prophets, we have a problem. And the problem is this. And that is that in Surah Mujadala, verse 21, I think it is, the Holy Quran says that God has deemed, He's decided that God and His messengers will overcome. Now, if people can kill God's messengers or prophets, then they are not overcoming anything. And then this is repeated in Safat, verse 172, and Ibrahim, verse 13, which show that, God's messengers, His prophets, their opponents do not succeed in bringing them down. So, what does it mean then? Well, of course, one meaning, people who know Urdu and so on would say this, qatl, it means to kill. So Arabic is more specific. It's to kill with some unnatural means. So if someone dies of a heart attack, then that is not qatl, because he had a heart attack. But if someone dies because you hit him with a baseball bat, or you put rat poison in his sandwiches or whatever, or you hit him on the head with a rock, that is obviously al-qatl. And from that, other derivations are qatalahu, he fought. So that is to try and overcome or kill the opponents. But Imam Raghib, who was a great uh, scholar of Arabic language and so on, he says it doesn't necessarily mean to kill someone literally. It can also mean to humiliate them, to kill their reputation, destroy their reputation, their standing in the community. So he says this stands for lowering someone's station in society. So what you're doing is you're killing them metaphorically because you're killing their position, you're destroying their position. In chapter 80, verse 27, I think it says that قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا أَكْفَرَهُ, that those who deny God's revelation, then for them is qatl. Well, what does that mean? Are they going to have their heads chopped off literally, or does it mean that they will not succeed? They will be humiliated. इसी तरह, in the same way, قَاتَلَهُمُ chapter 9, verse 31. Does it mean that Allah is going to kill them by some unnatural means? No, it means that God will humiliate them, lower their standing, destroy them. And Imam Raghib also says that when God talks about killing your children, don't kill your children. It's in chapter 17, verse 31, for example. So chapter 6, verse 152. وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ مِنْ إِمْلَاقٍ. So that doesn't literally mean that you kill your children. I mean, some people say it refers to infanticide, where birth of a girl was regarded as a humiliation by Arabs of that time. And they would go and bury the infant and kill her. So some people say it literally means don't do that. Possibly. But then it's awlad. So your children. That includes boys as well. So other people say that, well, it is killing your children intellectually by destroying their future, by not letting them get education and training and so on. So it's qatl in that sense, that your children are going to be deprived of education and they're going to be humiliated. And you see that on aeroplanes, don't you? You're on a flight to some country and the person next to you can't read or write. So they say to you, brother, can you fill this form for me? And you take the form and then you have to say to them, but can I see your passport? Because you don't know how to spell your name. So what you want me to do? Isn't that humiliating? Yes, it is. So you could say, and we see this in politics, don't we? To try and lower the value of the message or manifesto of one party, that people in the other party try and humiliate the leader or prominent leaders of the opposing party by making fun of them, by making cartoons and all this kind of thing. So these people were trying to do the same with the prophets. And the most prominent prophet to whom it happened, I mean, it happened to all of them to some degree. For example, to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Bani Israel used to say, well, why doesn't God speak to you in our presence so we can see what he's saying? You know, Jesus, he was the one who suffered worst. He was, arrested, taken to Pilate, and the beatings he got and so on, and nailed to the cross and all this kind of thing. So, he was humiliated in front of his people. Now, once you've humiliated someone, then people don't take them seriously. They don't listen to their message. So, this verse could mean that you humiliate them so that people have no respect for them. And obviously, if they don't have any respect for them, they're not going to listen to them. And then if you combine this with Surah Mujadlah, that Allah and His messengers shall prevail, you can see it makes sense that you, when prophets come to you, you don't like the message they bring of being nice to people and charity and this and that and so on. So what you do is you humiliate those prophets and you make fun of them and so on. Why? So that people don't listen to them. But Allah and His messengers will predominate, will overcome. So to me that makes sense. Yes, I admit the fact that in coming to this conclusion, you have to use your brain and it may actually give you a migraine. But the Quran says reflect. Don't just read things and not think about them. And that removes the contradiction. And that destroys your nasakh, mansukh theory, which people are so fond of. So, if the word qatl is used, you have to see the context. It doesn't mean killing or fighting in every place. As I said, it can mean to kill or to die by unnatural means. If you have a heart attack, as I said, that's not qatl, that is not unnatural. But, in some places it can mean to humiliate. Other places it may mean to make ineffective. Other places it may mean to destroy. So it can mean all of those things. And this is further supported by another verse which says, وَيَقَاتِلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, that they would kill their prophets without any cause, without any justification. But then, the plural is used here. How many prophets did they kill? Now, if you say they made fun of their prophets, they humiliated them and so on, then to me it makes sense. But in Surah Nisa, you also have Wala taqtalu anfusakum. That is, don't kill yourselves. So how are you killing yourself? Is this talking about suicide? No, it's not talking about suicide. What it's saying is by acquiring wealth by immoral means, don't kill your souls. Don't kill your souls. And time is up, but I just want to mention this. Qataltul khamra bil ma'i. Well, khamr is wine. So how do you murder wine? Qataltul khamra. And it tells you how. And that is, I put water in wine. Why? To reduce its effect. So, the word qataltu is used in that sense as well. So, we don't have time to do. There are some more meanings and so on, but we don't have time. We run out of our time. So, I will end this broadcast with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.